What's the worst thing we do to each other? Is it not holding the door open for an elderly person? How about racial discrimination against one another? Hating each other for no good reason? How about warfare or ethnic genocide? I think all negative aspects of humanity are rooted in warfare. Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Salazar, and today I want to talk to you guys about the recent resurgence of violence between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and the context surrounding it, along with the possibility of global intervention. So let's dive into the history of the rival countries. So, in an article by Berkeley News titled "Why Violence Has Reemerged in Armenia-Azerbaijan Conflict," explains how Armenia and Azerbaijan were taken over by the Soviet Union in 1921. Now, the Soviet Union began dispersing land between Armenia and Azerbaijan, most notably the Armenian land of Nagorno-Karabakh. Now, Nagorno-Karabakh belonged to the Armenians, but the Soviet Union gave that land to the Azerbaijani. Now, what followed for the next coming years until 1988 was a lot of racial discrimination against the Armenians on part of the Azerbaijani, because the Azerbaijani started moving people into Armenia and started kind of harassing them to get out of their land. Now, fast forward to 1988. Russia gives Armenia and Azerbaijan their independence back. Now, this led to a full-scale war due to, the racial tensions between both countries. So the war lasted until 1994, when Armenia defeated Azerbaijan and took back their land of Nagorno-Karabakh. So, this leads me into the next article. The same article interviews UC Berkeley Director of Armenian Studies, Stefan Astorian. Now, Astorian explains the factors of the new war. He explains how Azerbaijani's economic struggles may have led Azerbaijani to seek new territory. Azerbaijani wants Nagorno-Karabakh back from the last war, and they also want to invade Armenia. So Turkey is backing Azerbaijan. Now, this is because Turkey was responsible for the first major genocide of the 20th century against the Armenians. Turkey does not like the Armenians, so naturally they would back the Azerbaijani. But it's a little more complicated than that. Turkey is backing Azerbaijan in the latest conflict, supplying military advice, coordination, and even troops. The article explains how it is possible that the Turks are using Azerbaijan to kind of keep the Russians from controlling that region, because the Russians are supporting the Armenians. So, in the online article, Armenia and Azerbaijan, What's Behind the Nagorno-Karabakh Conflict, the BBC News site explains how Russia has close ties to both Armenia and Azerbaijan. But Russia has a war pact with Armenia, which means that if Armenia goes to war, Russia has an obligation to aid Armenia in whatever war they are in. So, Turkey, being a NATO member, is aiding Azerbaijan, and this is most likely due to prejudice towards Armenia, because again, Turkey was responsible for a genocide in the early 20th century against Armenia. And also, Turkey is ambitious to keep control of the south and have the Russians not control that region. So this leads me into an online article by Vox titled "Armenia and Azerbaijani's War is Entering a More Dangerous and Potentially Tragic Stage." So this article explains how the Azerbaijani are advancing more and more into the land of Nagorno-Karabakh. Again, that's the land being disputed over in this new war. And it pretty much explains how there's a potential for a genocide against the Armenian natives in Nagorno-Karabakh. One, because Azerbaijan is being aided by the Turks, who do not like the Armenians, and due to the racial tensions and the bitterness that may have occurred from the first war. Again, the Armenians took over Nagorno-Karabakh from the Azerbaijani, although the natives to Nagorno-Karabakh were Armenian. So, my last article by the New York Times titled, Armenians Erupt in Fury Over Bitter Defeat in Nagorno-Karabakh War. The war has ended. It ended sometime this week. Russia enacted a peace pact between the Armenians and the Azerbaijani. Now, Russia has agreed to leave troops on their borders to ensure that neither country attacks each other. Armenia has also seceded much of Nagorno-Karabakh. This is because Azerbaijan invaded a lot of Nagorno-Karabakh, and when they agreed to end the war, Armenia decided to let Azerbaijan keep most of that land. So because of this, and because of Azerbaijan taking over a lot of Nagorno-Karabakh, there are many protests in Armenia right now. The people want Armenia to go back to war with Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is pretty happy with how things turned out, though. Now, over the course of the fighting, since 1994, Azerbaijan has violated multiple peace pacts, which means that they would agree not to attack each other, and Azerbaijan would attack Armenia anyways. So my point being is that that region is heavily unstable, and with the Armenian populace being so furious and the Azerbaijani not honoring ceasefires in the past, one can predict that there might be more violent outbursts in the future, be it weeks, months, or years. So, why should you care, right? It has nothing to do with the US right now. The US is handling the COVID-19 pandemic along with the recent elections. The countries handling that issue seems to be Russia only. But we have to understand that if more and more violence occurs between both these countries, NATO might get involved, or other international government countries. And it might obligate America to get into, God forbid, another war. So it's just a little food for thought. Thank you for your time.